the huge majority of couples who come to us, like I would say 95%, 90% anyway, they want to stay together. They want to make this relationship work. So they're, in a sense, women are calling, and what I hear them saying is, I want to make sure that you're going to hold his feet to the fire. But you can also hear kind of in their voice, will you hold out some hope for me? I want this relationship to work, if it can work. I want it to work if it can work. That's what they say to me. Mm-hmm. So we now, in fact, we're calling our comprehensive program Healing Together from Narcissistic and Emotional Abuse. And so we have a place for that. We have a place for women to do their work, a man to do his work, ultimately for them to do couples work together when the time is right. But I presume you agree with that, that there's a his work, her work, and we're mindful that they are connected. This is a marriage, and so we've never looked at a woman and said, throw the relationship away. In fact, wouldn't you say that a relationship, a marriage, often is the best place to grow and a best place to work on things?
Yeah, Byron Katie famously said, if you want to learn and change and grow, choose a partner. It'll force the process. And also, be wary of any counselor or therapist who tells you that they know what you should do with your relationship, because they don't come from your belief practice or your faith practice. And if you're committed to a marriage, even if it means going through really difficult times, it's not for me to decide that you shouldn't be with your partner. It's for me to help you in whatever ways you're asking for help. And so at first, maybe the process looks like two parallel paths that are alongside each other but not together. And then maybe over time, those paths come back together again, meaning that the people do individual work and then they come back for joint counseling. But it's not for us to decide whether people should be married. It's for them to decide.
Yeah, that is so important, because I'm really weary of women calling in and saying, I have been told two extreme different pieces of counsel. One, stay and pray. It'll all be fine. Just hang in there and trust that he will grow, he will change, he will whatever. That's kind of crazy. And the other is run for the hills. There's no chance under the sun. And that's kind of crazy. So I would like to say that we have a balanced approach, and that we're going to call bad behavior, but we're going to give straight feedback on, here is how he's doing. We want to know how you, the woman, is doing, and we want to help you come back together again in a healthy way if that can be done.
Yeah, if you can't put two people in the room together and have them be healthy together, then let's move them apart far enough that they can actually be regulated and healthy for their kids and even for each other. And then over time, you kind of build incremental paths back together.
Another thing every woman says to me, they say, I want a plan. Please, for the love of God and all that is holy, give me a plan. Tell me you have some idea, not that you're going to direct every single piece of this thing, but you have some ability to look and say, yeah, here, this needs to change, that needs to change, and we can do this, and if you'll do that, and here's a way, and all the pieces, but they want a plan. And you sound like you're good with that, to a certain extent.
It's not that I'm good with that. It's that the Marriage Recovery Center has actually put a lot of time and thought into what couples look like and how to create pathways towards healing. And so there are only so many difficult dynamics in relationships, and you've been in business for like 40 years. I can't imagine that you haven't seen almost everything out there.
Right.
And so we've come up with a couple of programs that end up getting people right for further either individual treatment or more advanced programs. And so I think this is the difference that we have that you wouldn't find in typical individual counseling.
We have put a lot of thought into it. We've got the core for men, we've got redeemed for women, we're soon to have the core for women, we have advanced core for men, we're soon to have advanced core for women. And, and then at the right time, in the right way, we're all equipped to work with the couple together when the couple counseling makes sense and it works. And so it's just really, really neat for me as the director of the Marriage Recovery Center. It's neat for me to see all these pieces come together and people like yourself who catch this vision, and it's really exciting time for all of us.
Yeah, and you should think about this a little bit like you think about physical therapy after an accident or some sort of trauma. If the trauma is really bad, the therapist will start you out walking or even crawling, because you need to build the motor memory and network that starts out being the building block for the next building block and the next building
Yes.
block. So if a couple comes to us and they're incredibly in dire straits and having an incredibly difficult time doing anything healthy or productive together, we start them at ground zero. If a couple comes and they're already running and they want to learn how to run faster, we move them faster into more advanced ideas so that they can kind of benefit from whatever is the thing that's going to take them farther.
One additional piece, there's so many things to talk about here, but one additional piece, Lee, that you know about that we do at the Marriage Recovery Center is we're willing to really roll up our sleeves and work intensively with couples. So, I mean, you and I have done a number of intensives together where we will work with a couple who are ready. Maybe they've done the core, they've done redeemed, maybe they've done advanced core, advanced redeemed, or advanced core for women anyway, and they're ready to do intensive work. And we're not afraid of that. In fact, we invite it, we welcome it, and it's different than that once a week counseling. And I mean, this is just...
It is, and to add to that, I might be one of the only people in the company who's willing to get on a plane and go to where you are to work with you in your location. And part of that's because after 10, 12 years of teaching private yoga in high net worth people's homes, I know that people are most comfortable in their own house, in their own community. And so if you're going to end up wanting to see the dysfunction come out, but also the real vulnerability and healing happen, if you go to where people are, you're most likely going to see most of it come up authentically and honestly right away. And I feel really comfortable in myself enough to get on a plane and go to Topeka, Kansas, or Ontario, Canada, and be there for a few days and go into somebody else's environment so you don't have to leave and go away from your kids and spend a lot of money on flights, and you can actually stay and manage your business. And so that's one option for us to work together, is to have me come to where you are.
It's a powerful, powerful option, because again, this idea of counseling taking place for 45 minutes or 50 minutes a week to try to deal with these really complex issues is just foolhardy. It doesn't work. And so you and I both believe in this, working as intensively as a couple is willing to work with us, we're willing to work with them.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this a lot. Some of the really important issues come up around the 45-minute mark.
Exactly.
Right? The time when you're starting to wind down a call, all of a sudden you've gotten comfortable enough in the conversation for the real issues to come up. And that's why we like to focus on much more intensive work. So you don't have to rush to get to that point and then it's over. You actually have enough time to dive deeper and to unpack it and to actually build a way to work through it together.